What if this most powerful spiritual tool you have isn't outside of you but inside your head? What if the brain, that mysterious organ nestled in your skull, is not just a biological machine but a divine instrument tuned to the frequency of God? The human brain, often called the most intricate organ in existence, is nothing short of a masterpiece. To scientists, it's the pinnacle of evolutionary wonder. To the faithful, it is the divine's fingerprint, a sacred creation formed with intent and infinite wisdom. This complex web of neurons and synapses isn't a lifeless circuit board. No, it's alive. It's dynamic. It's constantly changing, growing, and evolving. This sacred flexibility is known as neuroplasticity, the brain's remarkable ability to rewire itself, form new neural connections, and adapt to new experiences even into old age. For centuries, people believed the brain became rigid after childhood. But now we know that's not true. Your brain is always listening and always shifting. Like a river carving new paths through stone, your thoughts reshape the terrain of your mind every single day. Could it be that this malleability is not just biological but spiritual, a reflection of divine mercy, a glimpse of God's grace in motion? Think about it the same way we speak of God as offering second chances, redemption, and transformation. Your brain offers the same. It mirrors the sacred truth that you are never stuck. You can always begin again. Throughout history, many have seen the brain as the very seat of the soul, a bridge between flesh and spirit, between the temporal and the eternal. The Bible echoes this idea in Romans 12:2, saying, "Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind." Transformation, renewal. This isn't just metaphor, it's a call to awaken mentally and spiritually, and neuroplasticity makes it possible. If God in his infinite wisdom created humanity in his own image, could the evolving nature of the brain reflect God's own dynamic nature? As our experiences sculpt our neural networks, are we also tuning ourselves more finely to divine frequencies, receiving insight, intuition, and direction through the delicate dance of synapses? Across sacred traditions, the Vedas, the Torah, the Quran, themes of renewal, transformation, and the pursuit of wisdom are universal. The brain's ability to grow from experience and heal from trauma resonates deeply with these spiritual truths. It's as if the brain was not only designed to survive, but to spiritually thrive. Think of a radio. If tuned correctly, static gives way to clarity. Likewise, a mind attuned through meditation, reflection, and learning becomes a vessel of divine understanding. Through the grace of neuroplasticity, perhaps we don't just learn about God, we hear him clearly and intimately through the quiet wisdom impressed on the soul. Another powerful layer to this mystery is how our environment and our choices literally shape our brain. Just as Scripture urges us to walk with the wise, to love, to forgive, and to cultivate joy, neuroscience shows that these very practices reinforce healthy neural patterns. The more love you give, the more love your brain creates. The more peace you seek, the more your brain learns to find it. So what if your path to godliness isn't just spiritual, but neurological? What if every kind word, every act of compassion, every mindful choice is a way of literally molding your brain into a vessel more capable of receiving divine light? Throughout human history, words have built empires, destroyed lives, and sparked revolutions. But beyond their worldly power, words carry an eternal significance. Emotionally charged and spiritually potent words are more than communication, they are creation. As John 1:1 declares, "In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God." This isn't poetic hyperbole. This is sacred truth. The very essence of God is revealed through words. And those words, spoken or unspoken, leave imprints not just on others, but within our own brains. When we speak with love, kindness, and clarity, we form neural pathways that align us with peace and grace. But when our words are laced with anger, fear, or bitterness, we darken those paths, sometimes even cutting ourselves off from divine communion. How we speak to others matters, but how we speak to ourselves, that may matter even more. Positive, uplifting language carves trails of hope through our brain. Negative, self-destructive words cement passive despair. In this light, your words become more than tools, they become spiritual instruments, tuning you to or away from the voice of God. But the connection doesn't stop at language. Our emotional brain, the limbic system, is constantly in motion, reacting to our surroundings. And these emotional tides, whether waves of joy or storms of sorrow, directly affect how we connect with the divine. A heart gripped by resentment often struggles to hear God's whispers, but a heart softened by gratitude, even in hardship, can hear heaven in silence. That's why inner peace isn't just a luxury, it's a spiritual necessity. Calming the internal storms isn't about escape, it's about preparation. Like stilling the waters so the reflection of God can become visible, we must soothe our emotions to receive the sacred. And here's where it all comes full circle. Emotions and words don't exist in isolation. They feed each other. When we speak in anger, our emotions follow. When we calm our mind, our speech softens. Ancient scriptures warned us about the dangers of unbridled speech. Modern neuroscience confirms it. So the next time you're tempted to lash out, to curse, to judge, to wound with words, remember the damage doesn't just strike others. It echoes through you. It scars your mind. It disrupts your spiritual signal. In those moments, seek guidance, seek silence, seek God. Because perhaps the brain isn't just where we think, it's where we listen, where we heal, where we remember who we truly are. And if you can train your mind through faith, love, wisdom, and conscious speech, then maybe you'll not only renew your brain, but transform your soul. As we explored earlier, the human brain's incredible neuroplasticity mirrors the divine potential for renewal. But to truly understand how this sacred instrument shapes our spiritual destiny, we must now look deeper into the connection between our thoughts, our environment, and the timeless spiritual laws that guide us. In Psalm 19:14, the psalmist prays with heartfelt vulnerability, "Let the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in thy sight, O Lord." This is not just poetic reverence, it's a profound recognition of how intimately connected our words and inner emotions are with our relationship to the divine. Our speech and our thoughts are not random, they are offerings. They are reflections of the soul's posture toward God. At the heart of this connection lies the brain's astonishing adaptability, what neuroscience calls neuroplasticity. This trait isn't merely a scientific fact, it's evidence of divine design. The ability of the human brain to change, grow, and evolve throughout life speaks volumes about God's intention for us not to remain stagnant, but to continually transform, learn, and draw closer to His will. When we stand at the intersection of faith and science, we don't find contradiction, we find confirmation. The mechanisms of neuroplasticity are not a challenge to spiritual truth. They are the blueprint, a divine roadmap. As our brain reshapes itself in response to thoughts and experiences, so too does our spiritual path evolve. The very structure of our brain supports a journey of continuous transformation, guided by unseen hands. One of the universal laws that bridges both the spiritual and neurological realms is the law of cause and effect. Found across nearly every religious tradition and echoed in modern psychology, this principle reminds us that every action, every thought, and every emotion sets into motion a consequence. Nothing is lost. Nothing goes unnoticed. On a neurological level, these repeated patterns sculpt our brains, strengthening some pathways while letting others fade. Spiritually, this law reinforces the truth of divine accountability. As we sow seeds of kindness, love, and mercy, not just in what we do, but in how we think and speak, we also shape our inner world. We realign with God's character. And in doing so, we invite His favor, His clarity, and His presence into our lives. Closely intertwined with this is the law of adaptation, another testament to the brain's resilience and flexibility. Our neural networks respond to repeated environments, ideas, and behaviors. Proverbs echoes this with divine simplicity. He who walks with the wise grows wise, and do not associate with a hot-tempered person. These aren't just moral suggestions, they are neural instructions. Spend time with peace and your brain learns peace. Surround yourself with chaos and your brain wires for it. From a spiritual view, these instructions are God's protective guidance. They teach us that we become what we are consistently exposed to, that by choosing uplifting relationships, healthy habits, and wise counsel, we not only preserve our well-being, but enhance our divine sensitivity. The brain and soul both adapt to what we feed them. Then there is the law of choice, the power of free will. God in His sovereignty endowed us with the ability to choose. And with every choice, we shape not only our lives, but also the architecture of our brain. Every decision, whether it aligns with God's truth or not, leaves a mark, creates a path, and reinforces a pattern. This law reminds us that we are not helpless. We are not victims of fate. We are co-creators of our destiny, sculpting our minds with every intention, every habit, every response. Spiritually, it means each moment is sacred. Each choice is an opportunity to move closer to God or away. And when we choose rightly with wisdom and love, we don't just become better people, we become clearer vessels for divine communication. But the wonders of the brain don't stop with pathways and networks. Neurogenesis. The birth of new brain cells shows that the mind can be made new. This isn't just a scientific marvel, it's a spiritual metaphor. Just as the brain can birth new neurons, so too can the soul undergo rebirth. Through God's mercy, no failure is final. His grace is a reset button for the heart. This union of divine forgiveness and neural renewal is powerful. It means that growth is always available, that no matter your past, your mind and your spirit can begin again. Still, growth isn't always smooth. Both the brain and the soul face opposition, distraction, temptation, emotional pain. These are the weeds that choke spiritual and neurological progress. That's where the law of diversion comes in. When a goal feels blocked or out of reach, the brain instinctively redirects attention toward a new focus. This mirrors a divine truth: when one door closes, God often opens another. When your original plan fails, it may not be punishment, it may be providence. God may be shifting your focus, refining your perspective, and preparing you for something deeper. Spiritual detours are often divine designs in disguise. Another striking parallel is found in what neuroscience calls shockers, sudden or intense experiences that jumpstart brain growth. Think of fasting, intense training, or even dramatic weather changes. These things disrupt the norm and trigger transformation. Spiritually, the same principle applies. Trials, grief, betrayal, and hardship, all of these can become catalysts for deeper faith, stronger character, and more intimate dependence on God. Yes, pain can be a doorway to purpose. Just as the brain grows under pressure, so too does the soul. Challenges stretch us. They teach us what comfort cannot. They refine our hearts like fire purifies gold. All of these laws, cause and effect, adaptation, choice, diversion, come together to form a unified picture of the human experience. One that is both spiritual and scientific. One where the brain's intricate complexity reflects God's divine intention. And one where our daily choices shape not only who we become, but how deeply we can hear from heaven. In the vast, awe-inspiring world within our own skull, we may find something greater than intelligence. We may find divine intelligence, a living, breathing system capable of transformation, of learning, and of communion with the Creator Himself. Science tells us how the brain works. Scripture tells us why it matters. And together they sing a song of sacred potential. Because maybe, just maybe, the mind was always meant to be the meeting place between humanity and God.